Got a Panasonic DVD recorder with hard drive that came in today for no remote operation. So, like all these modern pieces of equipment, if the remote doesn't work, the unit is kind of useless because the buttons that they've got on them are very limited and you really can't do anything. So let's see if we can get the remote working on this one again. We know it's the unit and not the remote. This is a Panasonic DMR-EH50 that came in for service. The remote control does not work. I have no control of the unit using a remote. This is my remote. Trying my remote on it. The unit itself is not responding. So we need to take this one apart and see what is wrong with the infrared receiver. Is it the IR receiver that's at fault, or is it something else? Let's open this one up and find out. Well, here's the unit opened. I have to take the front off because I want to get to where the infrared sensor is. So we'll just pop the front off of the unit. And the infrared sensor is right down here in the corner. First thing I'll do is check to see if there's any breaks or anything in the circuit board. And then what we'll do is we'll put a scope on here and see whether it's receiving a signal. So I'm just going to turn the unit upside down so I can examine the board. It's easy to get at on this one. Some of these things are a pain, but this one's actually quite easy to access it. It's right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put my scope on here and see whether I get a signal. Well, we'll check it first of all for voltage, because obviously if it's not getting any voltage, we're not going to get a signal from it. So the first thing to do, of course, would be to check this thing for voltage. So let's put power to it. They're pretty simple devices. There's 3 terminals on them. You've got power in, ground, and signal out. The ground will be the same as the case shield. Which is going to be, I think, the middle one. That's ground. So one of these two is going to be power. So let's find out which one's power. Put power to the unit. Funny because the display actually is a lot brighter with the front cover off of it. These displays are so darn dim on these things, but this one here, the display is actually quite bright with the front cover off. But looking through the front cover, you can barely see it. It's because of the glass is so dark on these units. One of my complaints always has been on these Panasonic units is, look at that, you can barely see the thing looking through the glass. It's because this glass cover is so dark. Okay, now if I turn it on, it's actually dim though with it with the power on. It's actually dimmer than when it said please wait. So let's just check and see which one of these has got power. 12 or 5 volts is there. So this one got 5 volts on it too. So we should have a signal being read out on one of these two when I press buttons on the remote. Let me go grab my scope. We'll hook the scope up to it. Of course, if I don't see any signal coming out of either one of these, one of the pins, then we know that the fault is the actual receiver itself. So let's take a look at the scope. So that's just me touching it. I should have a real strong signal when I'm pushing buttons on the remote control, and I have nothing. So I think the IC itself is dead. So now all I need to do is just see if I can find another one. I'm going to look in some old VCRs and see if I can find the same one. So I got another one here that may be the same. I'll know once I get this one out whether it's compatible or not. There's a couple different styles of these. This will be it's got a metal shroud around it. That's actually not part of the actual IC itself. The metal case is just to shield it from outside interference outside the light. Namely from the vacuum fluorescent display that's sitting next to it. So when I pop the unit out of here, we'll see if it's the same type of IC. It's got this metal case around it. Looks to be similar. Looks to be, it might be the same. I'm hoping it's the same one. Just kind of got to pop the sides open a bit here so that I can bend the tab up a bit. Let's see if this is the same. Looks to be the same unit. Some numbers on here, so I want to see what the numbers say. Looks to be similar, if not the same, doesn't it? This is a 5C57, and this one here doesn't say on it. It looks like the same unit. It should be the same unit as it came out of a Panasonic VCR. But of course the VCR did not have any shielding around it because it didn't have a vacuum fluorescent display to cause interference. I'm just going to solder the new one in now. I've already tacked in a couple of the leads because they're really short. Turn the unit over and we'll see if it responds to the remote control. Power on. Should come up with a message on here to wait. Please wait. I'm not even going to test this machine to see if it works. The guy that owns it has specifically asked me not to view any of the recordings that are on it, so I'm not going to. I'm going to honor his request, and I'm just going to see whether it responds to my remote once it goes through its boot up procedure. These things take a few minutes to start up when you first plug them in. They do a self-test, test the hard drive and so forth. Okay. Will it start up when I press the power button? It says hello. A light. If I press the hard drive button, will it switch to hard drive? Does it say this is guide? Oh, it's in the TV guide. Let's get out of the guide. Okay. Hard drive. Hard drive lights up. SD for the SD card. I would say I've fixed this one. Bad. At least I don't know why these displays are so dim. Mine's dim too. But it was brighter when it said please wait, and then when it turned on it went dim. Let's put the front panel back on this thing now, and see if it works. So the front panel just pops on the front. Somehow this thing goes on here. Just like that. And of course I shut it off when I hit the power button. Come back on. Or is my alignment not quite right on this? It's right behind the stupid record button is where the sensor is on this thing. And it's on now. So I'm about 5 feet away now, and I'm changing modes. What I'll do is I'll put a disc in it. We can play a disc. I'm not going to play any of his recordings that are on his hard drive. But we'll play a disc off the DVD player, and that way I can test it out and make sure that all the functions work on my TV here. I'll load my Abbotsford Air Show 1985 disc. Go over to the TV. Takes a second to load up. Play. Here we go. Play. Working. Skip forward. Times 2. Times 10. Times 30. This unit is working. So if you have one of these DMR-E50, DMR-E50, any of them, the remote control is not working, it's going to be more than likely that little receiver piece. They're all pretty much standard. There are a couple different configurations. Some of them have the middle pin grounded. Others have one of the ends, well, either pin 1 or pin 3 grounded. You have to make sure you find one that's the same configuration as the original. Generally, if you get one from the same brand of equipment that you are working on, it's going to be compatible. In other words, a Sony probably wouldn't work with the Panasonic because they could use one that's using one of the other configurations. But if you find one from the same brand of equipment, then chances are it's going to be the same. There we go. This one's now repaired. Customer is going to be very happy. He just brought this to me today, and he's going to be very happy. He'll probably see the video of his unit repaired before I get a hold of him. But anyway, that's it. That's all I can show you on this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon.